Good evening. I'm not so sure this is going to stay up, but we'll give it a try. Oofda. Yeah, that's a Norwegian way of saying I am pooped out. I just got back from the graduation party and it was really, really nice. A lot of people there, people I haven't seen for a good long time. We had a lot of fun, a lot of food. So now I'm going to try to conclude this with part number 2, and I'm going to run through it as fast as I can because I think my battery is going to go dead. Okay, we left off at the auctions in Kovel. My dad sold all the piglets and bought my mom a beautiful Russian sable fur coat. The most expensive fur coat actually known to man at that time. And excuse me, but something on my glasses. Anyway, so that was a highlight. She wore it many, many years to come in the winter and in the cold weather. Shortly after that, however, my dad, I think, was part gypsy. Actually, I think he was all gypsy because he could never settle down. So we moved across the valley into another place that was 5 acres of land. And on this acreage, there was a large lake. And the lake was shared by people around, about 3 or 4 other families that had homes on the edge of this lake. So that summer, my mom and dad decided it would be okay if she took my little brother and I down to swim in the lake water. Well, my mother was not a swimmer. I was only 10 years old. I didn't know how to swim. My brother was, I think, 6, nor did he. But nevertheless, my mom lets us go in the water, and so we're dog paddling around, and my brother is mainly on an inner tube. And the name of the lake was White Mud Lake, and why they called it that I'll never know, because the mud was not white. It was a dirty brown. And I remember the first time that I stepped down in that mud, and the water came, way up to here on me because I'm short. And the mud was like quicksand. It started pulling me down, and I fought my way up as fast as I could, and I dog paddled till I got back to shore. And I said, and my mom said, "What's the matter?" And I said, "There's something in there pulling me down." And she said, "Oh, well, just be careful. I mean, be careful." So I go back in the water, and my curious little brother comes over on the inner tube, and so I didn't go out quite as far, and he got off the inner tube. It was still around him. But I said, "Listen, let's open our eyes and dunk down and see what's under the water." So we did. And we were terrified because under the water was not just this slimy, awful mud, but was, I guess, the only way I can tell you, it was lake weeds, long, twisted, gnarly weeds that were growing, 3-4 feet high, but they just stopped about 6 inches short of the surface of the water. So my mother, sitting on land, never saw these gnarly, dangerous weeds. As little kids, we could have gotten tangled up in them and had a terrible time fighting our way out. Or maybe they would have pulled us down and we would have drowned. But my mom didn't know that, and we didn't tell her because we were afraid if we told her it was dangerous under the water, she wouldn't let us go swimming anymore. So it was our secret. But, that was a dangerous thing to do because we were in a area of, we were denying the reality of what was really down there. And spiritually speaking, that's what a lot of people do in the world today. They deny the truth. God says in 2 Thessalonians, he says, because they, meaning the whole people, meaning all the people of the world, not just Christians, but everyone, because they receive not the love of the truth, I, God, will send a strong delusion that they should believe a lie. And that's what's happening, I fear, in our world today. And if we don't receive not just the truth, but a love of the truth, a deep longing to sift the lie from the truth and to know the truth to such an extent that we love it, we thank God for it, because it's for our safety, it's for our well-being, that we don't go the way of delusion or deception. And to be swimming in a lake like that and not telling my mother how dangerous it was just by the grace of God that God kept us safe that summer. And then by the end of summer we moved again. And thank God we moved away from the lake. But it was really bad. It was dangerous. But because we didn't share the truth with my mom, we put ourselves in danger. Okay, now here's another story that happened. Actually, this one happened when I was in my probably early 40s. I was pretty much forced to divorce. I was forced to divorce. There was no pretty much about it. My husband left me when I became pregnant with our fourth child. He found somebody more interesting, and he filed divorce on me, so I didn't have any choice. And I remarried sometime later, and the time came that I sent for a newspaper from Colville, again, the little town I love, and I saw some land for sale. There was actually a picture of it, and I showed my husband. I said, "Look at this, isn't this pretty?" He said, "Yeah, that is a pretty piece, a piece of land." And I said, "It's 20 acres. And I says, "It's only, I think it was $12,000. It was just cheaper than cheap. And it's a personal contract. It's not even through the realtor." And he said, "Well, why don't we go over this summer and take a look?" So we did. We got in the pickup. My husband bought a new pickup, and my son, the only child, still at home, my husband, myself, we got in the pickup. We go to Colville. The land that we already put $4,000 on, and we had paid $120 each month for several months after that. So we travel 5 miles out of town once we get to Colville, and there it is. We could identify it by, certain markers that we had. So to get to it, it's this little dirt road, and it kind of angles up an incline. It wasn't really a hill, it was just an incline. And we're going up, and all of a sudden this big bird, it was either a huge chicken hawk or an eagle, had something in its talons, and it dropped it right on the hood between the windshield and the hood, that connecting area, right there. And this thing was straight across, about 5 feet long. And my husband said, "What the H is that?" And I said, "Oh, that is a snake." And I said, "I'll bet you $1 million that's a rattlesnake. And if you hear that thing rattle, you'll know for sure." Well, we didn't hear it rattle because fortunately we couldn't turn around. We were in a place, it was impossible to turn around. So we kept going. The thing slithered off the pickup. And then we went a little further, and then I noticed a strange thing. I didn't know what it was, but it was like a cave in the terrain there on the right-hand side of the road, but only back several yards, back off the little country road. And I looked at it, and I didn't say anything, but I thought, that's really odd. It's just a cave. So we get to the top of the incline. That's the 20 acres we purchased. And it was beautiful. I mean, my heart fell in love. I had a beautiful view. It was level land. There was a few pine trees around it. It was just meadow grass. It was perfect. I mean, we could have built a house there and or whatever. And we both fell in love with it. And even my son liked it a lot. So we get in the car, we go back to town, and my uncle lives there, Uncle Joe, and we thought, well, we'll drop in and say hi to Uncle Joe. So that evening after supper we did. And we told Uncle Joe about this 20 acres of land we bought 5 miles from town. He said, who'd you buy it from? We told him the name of the guy. He said, 5 miles from town? He said, did you happen to see kind of like a cave in the terrain on the right side there going up the incline? And I said, yeah, I thought it was weird. He said, do you know what that is? I said, no, I don't have any idea. He said, that was a rattlesnake den. He said, you bought 20 acres of land on something called Rattlesnake Ridge. He said that cave is a breeding cave for probably thousands of timber rattlers. He said they mate in there, they have their baby rattlers in there, they grow fast. He said, I know there's thousands in there. And you bought land on top of that? My heart just sunk. And my husband's too. And my Uncle Joe said, he said, if you were smart, you'd turn that land back. Give it to the owner. He knew full well what he was doing. He knew full well he was trying to pawn that land off onto some unsuspecting person for $12,000. So we let the land go back. But see how he was trying to deceive people? Deception. Man, I'm telling you, deception's all around us. And especially in this day and age regarding you know what I'm talking about? The deception that they're pawning off on people. It's kind of like the cave with thousands of rattlers. A lot of deception in the area I'm alluding to. And I think you know what I mean. I think you do. Now I'm going to tell you, spiritually speaking, be careful. Because if we do not receive the love of the truth, God himself will send a strong delusion that we should believe a lie. The lake, getting tangled up in the lake weed with the leeches that stuck to our bodies as little kids, that drew blood as they bit into our bellies and hung onto our skin. White mud lake that Mom and Dad bought. And the mud at the bottom, it wasn't white, it was dirty, horrible brown. And when our little feet touched it, it sucked us in like quicksand. But we never told our mom because we didn't want to forfeit our opportunity to swim on a hot summer day. And then when we dunked down with our eyes open and we saw what was under the water and saw that gnarly lake weeds all tangled up, and if we'd gotten tangled up in those weeds, it could have drowned us, just like being tied up in a rope or dozens of ropes. But by God's grace, he kept us safe. Yeah, that's another time. Deception. Delusion. Misinformation, not searching, not studying, not knowing what really lies beneath the surface. People, we're living in an era of time. You're going to have to know the truth and separate the truth from the lie, and the lie from the truth. And I know there's many scriptures that would lead you to that, to do that. So be really careful in making decisions. The time might come when you cannot walk together with those, if you're unequally yoked with somebody, you might have to separate from them. Oh, yes, you may. Changes may need to be made in your life because we're living in very dangerous, deceptive times. Make wise decisions, and when in doubt, don't do it. When in doubt, don't do it. Pray as never before. Seek the will of the Lord, study to show yourself approved to God, and make wise decisions. And if you've made a bad decision, get out of it as fast as you can with the help of the Lord. My clock says this is brief, but I'm going to conclude it right now before I run over. I thank you for listening. God bless you. And again, this part 2 is not a fun one. This is just an admonition, an exhortation from me to you to be careful that so that your steps are ordered of the Lord, because my Bible says in Proverbs that the steps of a righteous man are ordered of the Lord. So if you're a righteous person living for Jesus Christ, seeking to do the will of the Lord, your steps will be ordered by Him. Thank you for watching. God bless you. Hugs and kisses. I love you all. Till next time. Bye-bye for now. Bye-bye.